I've been managing the Oak Ridge relationship personally for months now. The words hit me like ice water. I sat frozen in my chair, 6 feet away from Derek, my manager, watching him lean forward with that practiced confidence he wore like cologne. The client nodded, accepting his version of reality, without question. My strategy, my late nights, my careful relationship building, all of it being rewritten in real time while I sat there like furniture. My throat tightened as he kept talking, gesturing with hands that had never typed a single email to this account. The fluorescent lights felt too bright suddenly. My face burned hot, but I kept my expression neutral, professional, blank. Years of corporate training kicked in automatically, while something inside me began cracking, splitting down the middle like dried wood. I smiled. That's what killed me most. My lips curved upward on instinct, muscle memory from 1,000 uncomfortable meetings where staying pleasant mattered more than staying honest. My fingers gripped my notebook harder, knuckles going white against the black leather cover. This wasn't confusion or miscommunication. This was theft, happening smoothly and deliberately, with me as the only witness who knew the truth. The client asked about timeline, and Derek answered using my exact words from last week's email. Word for word. He didn't even change the phrasing. My jaw clenched so hard my teeth ached. But I kept smiling, kept nodding, kept playing the role of the supportive team member while my career got stolen in broad daylight. The drive home took forever. Traffic crawled through downtown Seattle, brake lights bleeding red into the gray afternoon drizzle. Derek's voice kept replaying in my head, smooth and confident, claiming months of work that belonged to me. That's when it crystallized, sharp and clear as broken glass. My manager tried stealing my clients, so I sent them the full email chain. The thought formed complete, already a headline, already a decision. My name is Kendra Whitlock. I'm 34 years old, and until this afternoon, I believed workplace loyalty ran both directions. I believed that doing good work mattered. I believed my manager had my back. The wipers scraped across my windshield, rhythmic and harsh. I believed wrong. Oak Ridge wasn't given to me. I earned them through 6 months of persistence that bordered on stubbornness. They'd rejected our company twice before I even got assigned to try. My first 5 emails went unanswered. My calls got routed to voicemail. I researched their quarterly reports, learned their pain points, studied their competitors. I sent personalized proposals, not templates. I remembered birthdays and work anniversaries. I showed up early to meetings and stayed late to answer questions. When they finally signed the contract last November, their CEO told me I was the most thorough account manager they'd ever worked with. Derek wasn't even in those meetings. He was managing other accounts, bigger ones, the kind that came with executive visibility and bonus potential. The first time Derek asked to be copied on my Oak Ridge emails, it seemed reasonable. We were sitting in his office, bland and beige, motivational posters trying too hard on the walls. I just want visibility into your workflow, he explained, sipping coffee from his Stanford alumni mug. Team alignment is important. You're doing great work, Kendra, but I need to stay informed for reporting purposes. I nodded, relieved even. Having my manager's support felt validating. I started copying him on everything, grateful for the interest. His early feedback was helpful. Minor tweaks to tone, suggestions for stronger calls to action. I made the changes gladly, thinking we were collaborating. I didn't recognize the pattern forming, the way my voice was slowly being edited into his. I noticed it on a Thursday evening, working late while everyone else had gone home. My office was dark except for the blue glow of my laptop screen. I was reviewing sent items, checking if the client had responded to my pricing proposal. That's when I saw it. My email, the one I'd sent that morning about Q2 deliverables, had been forwarded by Derek to the client that afternoon. But shortened, rephrased. My signature stripped away, replaced with his. The message was essentially the same, but the author had changed. My stomach dropped hard, that sickening elevator fall feeling. I scrolled through more emails, finding 3 others he'd done the same thing to. My words. His name. Pattern, not accident. I sat very still in the dark office, listening to my own breathing. I didn't confront him. Something told me not to. I closed my laptop carefully, powered down, gathered my things, drove home with my hands steady on the wheel, mind racing. Every instinct screamed to march into his office tomorrow morning, demand an explanation, defend my work. But a quieter voice underneath whispered differently. If Derek felt bold enough to do this, he wasn't worried about my reaction. He'd calculated that I wouldn't push back, that I'd stay silent, that I valued being liked more than being credited. Anger wanted me loud and immediate. Experience told me to slow down, think strategically. I made chamomile tea at home, sat at my kitchen table with my laptop. Started thinking about documentation instead of confrontation. Truth needed evidence. Evidence needed time. I began saving everything. Every email, every draft, every message thread. I created a folder on my personal laptop, organized by date, meticulously labeled. The story emerged clearly as I arranged the documents chronologically. January showed my voice, my style, my signature on every client communication. By February, Derek started appearing, copied, offering suggestions. March showed the edits increasing, his phrasing replacing mine. April revealed the forwarded emails, my work presented as his. May showed him scheduling client calls without including me. The timeline was damning, irrefutable. Each file I saved felt like armor clicking into place. My hands stopped shaking as the folder grew thicker. Truth has weight, substance, gravity. I wasn't emotional anymore. I was methodical. The calmer I became, the clearer everything looked. The second meeting happened worse than the first. We were presenting quarterly results to Oak Ridge, their executive team joining via video conference. I was mid-sentence, explaining retention metrics, when Derek interrupted smoothly. What Kendra means is, and he finished my point, restating it almost identically but claiming it as elaboration. The client CEO paused, then directed her follow-up question to Derek instead of me. That hesitation, that small shift in attention, cut deeper than the interruption itself. I watched trust transfer in real time, watched my credibility leak away while Derek soaked it up. He didn't even look guilty. His expression stayed pleasant, helpful, engaged. I took notes silently for the rest of the meeting, documenting everything, adding it to my growing archive. I almost quit that night. Sat at my desk with my resume open, cursor blinking mockingly on the screen. I'd been at the company 7 years, worked hard, earned promotions. But what was the point if managers could just steal your work without consequence? I could find another job, start fresh, leave this stress behind. My finger hovered over the save button, ready to update my resume and start sending applications. Then I paused. Thought about Derek keeping the Oak Ridge account, keeping the credit, keeping his version of the story. Nobody would know the truth if I left. He'd win by default. I closed the resume without saving. Opened my evidence folder instead, scrolling through months of documented theft. Walking away meant letting him rewrite history completely. Staying meant fighting, but at least the truth would be on record. I stopped correcting him after that. Stopped interjecting in meetings, stopped sending follow-up emails reclaiming credit. I let Derek talk, let him present my ideas as his own, let him grow more confident with each unchallenged claim. It hurt every single time, this deliberate silence. But arrogance makes people careless. The more comfortable he got, the bolder he became. He started scheduling client calls without me entirely. Started referring to his strategy for Oak Ridge in leadership meetings. Started positioning himself as the account expert to senior executives. I documented everything, taking careful notes, saving recordings when legal, collecting evidence while he built his house of cards higher and higher. Silence, I learned, could be strategic. Let him think he'd won. Let him get sloppy. In early June, Derek sent me a casual message. Hey Kendra, can you forward me all the Oak Ridge documentation? I need to prepare a presentation for the leadership team about our major accounts. Just send over everything you have. Emails, reports, notes, whatever. Thanks. His tone was breezy, assured, almost friendly. He genuinely believed I'd just hand it over without question. Probably thought I was too passive to see what he was doing, too eager to please to protect my own work. I read the message 3 times, feeling something shift inside my chest. This was it. The moment. He just asked me to give him ammunition to bury me with. I typed back, "Sure, happy to help. I'll send everything over." My hands didn't shake. My pulse stayed steady. I knew exactly what I was about to do. I spent that entire evening crafting the email. Wrote it, deleted it, started over. The first version was too angry, accusations bleeding through every sentence. The second was too passive, apologetic, weak. The third version was perfect, professional, clear, factual. No emotion, no commentary, just context. "Hi Derek, per your request, here is all Oak Ridge documentation. I've included the complete email chain showing the account history from initial outreach through present day. Everything is organized chronologically for your reference. Let me know if you need anything else." Then I attached it. The entire archive. Every email showing my work, his edits, his forwarded messages, the timeline of credit theft. Unedited. Unfiltered. Complete. I copied the client, copying leadership, copying HR. My finger hovered over send. This couldn't be undone. I exhaled slowly and clicked send. The email disappeared into the void with a soft whoosh sound. No dramatic music played. No instant relief flooded through me. Just quiet. My apartment felt too silent suddenly, just the hum of my laptop fan and distant traffic outside. My hands trembled slightly, adrenaline finally catching up to decision. I'd done it. Burned the bridge, blown the whistle, forced the confrontation I'd been avoiding. No taking it back now. The evidence was out there, traveling through servers, landing in inboxes. People were probably reading it right now, scrolling through months of documentation, seeing the pattern I'd carefully preserved. I closed my laptop, sat on my couch in the dark, and waited. Truth was out. Consequences would follow. I just didn't know whose consequences yet. Nothing happened immediately. Hours passed in thick silence. I checked my phone obsessively, refreshing email, expecting responses. None came. Work the next day felt surreal. Derek's office door stayed closed all morning. No team meetings. No casual check-ins. Leadership was quiet. The client hadn't responded. The silence felt worse than any confrontation could have been. Had I miscalculated? Had the evidence not been as clear as I thought? Had I just destroyed my career over nothing? By noon, anxiety had my stomach in knots. I couldn't eat lunch, just push salad around a container at my desk. Maybe truth didn't matter after all. Maybe politics and hierarchy mattered more. Maybe I should have just quit quietly. But late afternoon, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Oak Ridge's main number. "Kendra, this is Patricia Vale from Oak Ridge." The CEO's voice was careful, measured, professional. My heart hammered against my ribs. "I wanted to reach out personally after receiving your email yesterday. I appreciate you clarifying the history of our account relationship." Clarifying. That single word felt like oxygen flooding my lungs. She believed me. She'd seen the evidence and believed me. "The documentation was very thorough," Patricia continued. "It's given us some concerns about communication consistency on your team. We'd like to schedule a call to discuss the account structure moving forward. Would you be available tomorrow at 10? Tomorrow. With the client. Not Derek. Me. Absolutely, I managed, keeping my voice steady. "I'll send a calendar invite." After she hung up, I sat very still, letting the moment sink in. The truth had landed. Someone had listened. Everything shifted after that call. Meetings got rescheduled. Decision-making slowed. Derek stopped speaking over me in team meetings. Actually, Derek stopped speaking much at all. He looked tense, jaw tight, eyes avoiding mine. The confident swagger had evaporated. Something was clearly happening behind closed doors, conversations I wasn't part of, leadership discussions about credibility and documentation. Our director scheduled one-on-ones with me, asking careful questions about account ownership and communication processes. I answered calmly, referencing emails and timestamps I had memorized. Never emotional, never accusatory, just factual. Based on my records. Became my most common phrase. The evidence spoke for itself. I didn't need to editorialize or embellish. The timeline told the complete story, without any help from me. Leadership started asking for documentation.
Timelines.
Attribution. Proof of ownership. I provided everything they requested, organized and thorough. Forwarded email chains. Shared calendar invites showing meeting preparation. Provided draft documents with timestamps proving authorship. They wanted to understand how communication had gotten so confused. I explained simply, factually, showing how my emails had been forwarded under Derek's name, how my strategy had been presented as his, how credit had gradually transferred without my consent. I didn't call it theft. Didn't use emotional language. Just described what happened, when with evidence attached. The HR representative taking notes kept her expression neutral, but I noticed she highlighted certain passages, flagged specific emails. They were building their own timeline now, checking my version against Derek's. Truth was testable. Lies weren't. 2 weeks after I sent that email, Patricia called again. Kendra, I'm reaching out with a formal request. After reviewing the communication history and discussing internally, Oak Ridge would like you to remain our sole point of contact moving forward. We'll be putting this in writing and sending it to your leadership team. We've been very pleased with your work and want to ensure consistency in our relationship. My hand tightened around the phone. Sole point of contact. In writing. This was bigger than vindication. This was restoration, validation, proof. I appreciate your trust, I said, meaning every word. I'll continue prioritizing the Oak Ridge relationship the way I always have. After hanging up, I stared at my computer screen for longer than necessary, letting the weight of it settle. The client had chosen me. Explicitly.
Publicly.
Derek couldn't claim this account anymore. Derek was removed from the Oak Ridge account that same week. No announcement. No team email. Just an updated organizational chart in a shared drive and calendar invites that suddenly didn't include his name. I noticed it on a Friday afternoon, checking the shared spreadsheet of account assignments. The Oak Ridge row, which had shown both our names for months, now showed only mine. Primary contact. Solo ownership. Reporting directly to the director instead of through Derek. Power didn't leave loudly in corporate environments. It just quietly evaporated, names deleted from spreadsheets, access revoked in systems, meeting invitations rescinded. Derek still worked here, still managed other accounts, but Oak Ridge was gone from his portfolio. The evidence had spoken. The client had spoken. Leadership had listened. Silence could be louder than shouting sometimes. Derek and I shared one final meeting together. A team stand-up, routine and brief. We sat across the conference table from each other, 7 other people between us providing buffer. He didn't make eye contact. His hands were clasped too tightly on the table, knuckles white, jaw clenched. My hands rested casually on my notebook, loose and relaxed. The difference between us was visible, tangible. He looked cornered. I felt calm. We didn't speak directly, didn't acknowledge what had happened. The room felt thick with unspoken tension, other team members sensing something but unsure what. I realized then that I didn't need closure from Derek. Didn't need an apology or explanation or acknowledgement. The truth had already closed that door. His silence was admission enough. My documentation had spoken louder than any confrontation could have. 3 weeks later, leadership called me into an unexpected meeting. Our director and the VP of Client Services both attended, which signaled something significant. Kendra, we want to discuss expanding your responsibilities, the VP began. Your handling of the Oak Ridge situation demonstrated strong judgment and documentation practices. We'd like to offer you direct ownership of 3 additional key accounts with increased autonomy in managing client relationships. This comes with a title change to Senior Account Director and corresponding compensation adjustment. They framed it as trust, as recognition. I accepted without hesitation, feeling something solid lock into place inside my chest. This wasn't just about getting credit anymore. This was advancement, opportunity, growth. Protecting my work hadn't just saved my reputation. It had propelled my career forward. Sometimes standing up for yourself didn't cost you everything. Sometimes it cost the people who'd been taking advantage. Derek left the company 6 weeks after I sent that email. No farewell message to the team. No goodbye lunch. No transition meetings. Just an email from HR announcing his departure, generic and brief. We want to thank Derek for his contributions and wish him well in his future endeavors. Standard corporate language, meaningless and polite. His desk was cleared out over a weekend. Monday morning, someone else sat there, a new hire who knew nothing about what had happened. Derek's reputation didn't collapse in dramatic flames. It just dissolved quietly, the way credibility does when it gets hollowed out from the inside. People stopped mentioning him after a few weeks, his name fading from conversations. In corporate environments, disappearing was sometimes worse than being fired loudly. It meant you weren't worth discussing anymore. I walked into meetings differently after that. Spine straighter, voice steadier, less apologetic. The client treated me like a partner now, not a service provider. They called my cell directly, asked my opinion on strategy, trusted my recommendations. Leadership included me in bigger discussions, sought my input on process improvements. I'd learned something crucial through this experience. Silence could be strategy. Documentation could be defense. Truth had weight when you preserved it carefully. Confrontation wasn't always necessary if you let people expose themselves. Derek had stolen credit because he assumed I wouldn't fight back. He'd mistaken professional courtesy for weakness. He'd confused my patience with passivity. But patience had allowed me to build an irrefutable case. Standing still long enough for truth to catch up wasn't weakness. It was strategy. Revenge isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's just documentation, saved methodically over months. Sometimes it's patience, letting someone get comfortable enough to get careless. Sometimes it's simply handing back someone's own story, complete and unedited, letting the evidence speak for itself. I learned that workplace loyalty isn't automatic or assumed. It's earned through consistent behavior, proven through actions, validated through transparency. I learned to protect my work the way I'd protect anything valuable, with backups and proof and careful records. I learned that truth doesn't need embellishment. It just needs preservation. Most importantly, I learned my own worth, and I learned that defending it wasn't aggressive or inappropriate. It was necessary. Know what you've built. Document what you've done. And never underestimate how powerful the full truth can be when someone tries to rewrite your story.